Okay, this video is how to get the molecular formula when you have the percent composition by mass and you know the molecular mass. So the first thing that you have to do is get the empirical formula, and so to get the empirical formula you need to assume 100 grams. So if we assume 100 grams, we have 63.6 grams of nitrogen, and we have 36.4 grams of oxygen. Okay, that's supposed to be a 6 there. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to change to moles to get the empirical formula. So for every 1 mole of nitrogen, you would have 14 grams of nitrogen. And so if you do the math there, you're going to end up getting, let's see here, about 4.54 moles. And then if you do this one down here, you change to moles. So 1 mole oxygen is 16 grams of oxygen. That's going to be equal to 2.28 moles of oxygen. Okay, so you take the small number, divide it by itself. That puts it at 1. Take the big number, divide it by the small number. And that's going to put that at 2. So our formula, in terms of empirical formula, is N2O. Now, what you need to do next is you need to find the molar mass or the molecular mass of the empirical formula. And so we've got 2N, 2 nitrogens times 14, that equals 28, and 1 oxygen times 16. And if you add that up, that ends up being 44. All right, so the mass of that is 44. Now what they're telling you is they're telling you that the molecular mass is 132. Now the molecular mass must be some multiple, the molecular mass of the one that we're trying to find for the molecular formula must be some multiple of the empirical formula. So if we divide by 3, so if you take 132, or divide it by 44, not divide by 3, but basically if you take the molecular formula and you divide, or no, excuse me, I'm getting all messed up here. If you take the molecular mass and you divide that by the mass of the empirical formula, you would find that the empirical formula is a multiple of 3 of the molecular formula. So what that means is that the empirical formula has to be a multiple of 3. So you have this N2O. Well, you got to take 3 times 2, which makes it N6. And then this would, of course, be a 1 if there's nothing written. N6O3. And that's how you would do it. So the molecular formula, or the molecular mass that you have compared to the empirical formula mass, the empirical formula mass will be some multiple of the molecular formula mass. And then once you figure that out, you can just take your empirical formula and multiply it by whatever multiple it is. Now one way you could check it is you could do 6 times 14, that's like for nitrogen, plus 3 times 16, and that should equal, if you do that, that should equal the 132 number. And so that's how you can figure it out. All right, that's it for that video there.